call the Franklin County Commissioner, oh my goodness, can't talk this morning, County Commissioners meeting to order for Wednesday, January 28th, 2026, and we will start with a roll call.
Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Present.
Commissioner Waymire.
Here.
Chair Metter.
Here.
Vice Chair Harris.
Present.
Commissioner Dickinson.
Present. We will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. I think we have correspondence this morning. Supposed to start with the proclamation for human trafficking. I don't know. Here.
You can go ahead and
Read it.
read it if you'd
Okay.
like, yeah.
So it's proclamation 26-01. Survivors of this is for Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Survivors of trafficking are among the most vulnerable of individuals, and we must work together to address the root causes as well as create sustainable recovery options for those who have survived these atrocities. Survivor perspectives are important to solving the root causes, and it is important to include survivors and to keep those survivor-informed perspectives at the forefront of initiatives. Organizations that are taking the lead on human trafficking initiatives in Franklin County, Kansas include, but are not limited to, the following: Ottawa Police Department, Franklin County Sheriff's Department, Franklin County Attorney's Office, Wellsville Police Department, the Sexual Trauma and Abuse Care Center, Elizabeth Layton Center, Advent Health, Franklin County Coalition to End Homelessness, Ad Astra Advocacy Center of Franklin County, Ottawa University, Neosho County Community College, Unified School Districts 290, 289, 288, and 287, and the Willow Domestic Violence Center. Whereas human trafficking, a modern form of slavery, is one of the largest and fastest growing criminal industries in the world and is based on recruiting, harboring, and transporting people for the purpose of exploitation. And whereas sex trafficking and labor trafficking occur in Kansas, and both adults and children of any gender, socioeconomic status, age, race, sexual orientation, or geographic location can become victimized. And whereas human trafficking includes sexual, verbal, emotional, economic, and physical abuse and exploitation, and all forms of abuse carry long-term, complex trauma implications. And whereas Kansas human trafficking laws define commercial exploitation of children, which does not require a showing of force, fraud, threat, or coercion, and references the existing statutory definition of human trafficking and aggravated human trafficking. And whereas the effects of human trafficking reach far beyond its victims and perpetrators, causing disruption in our schools, places of work, and neighborhoods. And now, therefore, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the month of January 2026 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month and urge the citizens of Franklin County to speak out against sex and labor trafficking and exploitation, to support survivors of those heinous crimes, to encourage community leaders to hold offenders accountable, and to make preventable efforts a priority by hosting events, by creating policies at work, school, and home, and by supporting and participating in programs designed to reduce and eventually eliminate human trafficking as a societal problem. As a community, we will commit to creating and executing a comprehensive, collaborative, and trauma-informed response for the safety and security of human trafficking survivors.
Motion to approve the proclamation. Second.
Second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire.
Yes.
Commissioner Harris.
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson.
Yes.
Chair Metter.
Yes. All right. Next, we have Jeff Carroll from Ottawa Bike and Trail.
All right, well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I am Jeff Carroll. I'm the owner of Ottawa Bike and Trail. And today I just want to give you an update on all of our efforts to make Franklin County the cycling destination in Kansas. So last year I had an opportunity to update you, and also I want to thank you for your support for our events last year. And I'll talk a little bit about the support I'm asking for this year. But first I want to kind of lay the groundwork and explain to you what kind of our view of making Franklin County the cycling destination is. Last year I said it was our goal This year, when I was putting this together, I thought, you know what? It's already the cycling destination in Kansas. It's the best place to ride bikes in Kansas, and our goal really is to get the word out. I think that's really the next thing that we need to focus on. So part of what we're trying to do, and with your help, hopefully we can do it more this year, that's really the goal for me. And I did provide you a set of slides here. We'll go through those quickly. But first of all, hopefully you all are aware that Flint Hills Trail became a Hall of Fame inductee last year. There are 37 trails in the country that are Hall of Fame inductees, and we happen to have 2 of them right here in Franklin County. So the Prairie Spirit Trail and the Flint Hills Trail, they intersect here. We're the only county in the country that has 2 Hall of Fame trails that are also state parks. So it's quite a resource that we have, and I think, it's gaining a lot of notice across the country. We're getting people from all over the country coming here to ride. A lot of the information about the Hall of Fame last year brought a lot of people, and we continue this year to see even more people. We're getting reservations for rentals and calls about the trails every day. The spring is starting to fill up with people planning trips here. So it's really having a big impact. But the other side of cycling in Franklin County that you may not be thinking about or aware of is our gravel roads. If you go to the next slide, I always focus on Emporia because in the cycling world, Emporia is the center of activity. The gravel race they have there, Unbound, brings 12,000 people to town every single year, and it's the focus of the gravel world worldwide. The economic impact is somewhere between 15 million and 22 million a year in Emporia, but it also extends even here to Ottawa. All of our hotels will fill up that weekend because of our proximity to Emporia. We have cyclists from all over the world coming here to our shop and frequenting the restaurants, staying in the hotels. So it's a huge, huge thing. And people plan their entire year around this event from all over the world. It's the best analogy I can draw is it's the Daytona 500, the Indianapolis 500, the Kentucky Derby of gravel cycling. And gravel cycling is actually taking over the world. Road cycling, everybody's familiar with the Tour de France and some of the big road races, but gravel cycling is actually a bigger part of the industry than road racing is, especially in the United States. So it's a big impact. Well, here in Franklin County, we have some of the best gravel roads in the state. The Flint Hills roads around Emporia are great, but we also have some great gravel roads here. One of the slides here shows all of the gravel routes that we ride. We have about 40 routes that we have around the county, and in a year's time, we ride just about every single gravel road in the county. And we have some of the most beautiful roads, some challenging hills, beautiful views, and it's just, it's one of the things that I really want to try to elevate and raise awareness to. So part of what we do each year each week actually, is we host gravel events here in town. So if you turn to the next slide, we have 2 weekly group rides every week. So Thursday night, Saturday morning, these are free. We get people, a lot of local riders that are regulars, but we have people coming from Lawrence and Kansas City and surrounding areas. Some of them don't come every week, but frequently. We also have several special events. We have an event called Solar Lunar Ride on the Flint Hills Trail in March and September. We have a ride called the Flint Hills Flyer in May. We also host rides leading up to Unbound Gravel on the week of that race. And then we have a new event we just introduced this year called Moonrise Underground on the Prairie Spirit Trail. But the 2 biggest events and kind of our signature events are our Moonrise Bike Ride, which is a music and food and bike packing festival on the Flint Hills Trail. And then we also have another race, a race called the Bad Astra, and that's a gravel race here. Because of Unbound, there are gravel races almost every weekend in the state, and this is our signature gravel race. We, in the past, have been a sponsor of that race. It was actually run by one of our friends, Jeremiah Walters. He's run that event and grown it over the last 5 years. But him and his family have moved to Kansas City, and they are no longer able to do that. So our shop is going to pick up management of that race. So something new for us this year. We're hoping to continue that because I think it's a great opportunity to highlight Franklin County gravel roads, and we're going to continue that. One of the other things that we spend a lot of time on is social media, getting the word out. You know, part of our business, a big part of our business is based on tourism and also raising awareness of our shop. We're a small town bike shop. It's difficult enough to to stay in business as a bike shop. But so we really have to do everything we can to raise awareness that we're here, but also awareness of, you know, getting people to come here to ride bikes. And that's part of the way we do that is through our YouTube channel. This year we have really focused on that, and we increased our subscribers by almost 2,500 subscribers to our YouTube channel. And the impact of that has been enormous. We get calls from all over the country, people wanting to come here to ride, wanting to talk to us about bikes. So it's been sort of our main focus over the last year. We also have 4,000 Facebook followers and 2,000 Instagram followers, and we try to do work there, but the impact of our YouTube channel has been pretty significant. And a lot of those videos feature the trails. We do a lot of bike stuff, but also trails, a lot of group ride stuff. So people see the environment that we ride through, and it helps raise awareness. But our big event is Moonrise Bike Ride. As I said, we're in our 8th year for that event. And just to show you the impact of that event, we had 251 riders this year. The actual number of participants was about 280 because we have 30 volunteers. Last year, we really beefed up our volunteer force for that race just because it was growing so significantly that we needed to really step back and figure out how we could continue to grow it. And so we've built a 30-person volunteer base to support that ride. But we had people from all over the country coming to that. In fact, we have one person that came from Hawaii. And, you know, I questioned him, you're here to visit and just kind of jumping on? And he goes, no, I specifically planned my trip here. It was his second time to do it. He has some friends in Kansas City. They do the ride. They liked it so much that he comes from Hawaii to ride with them. And, you know, a lot of other states involved, but it's been a growing event. We hope to grow it even more this year with your help. Registrations by city, you can see here also that we have a large number of riders from all over Kansas, and 90% of those people are from outside of Franklin County. Many of them stay overnight. We encourage people to come down the night before and on a Friday, and then we have events surrounding that event all day Saturday to encourage people to be here all day Saturday before we set off for our ride out to Pomona Lake State Park, where we have the music and food and all of that, and then we ride back the next day. That event, we're really shooting for about 350 participants this year. We could probably support about 400, but we're going to set our goal at 350 for this year. The other event, the Badasser, is a more traditional gravel race. One of the things I can say about that event is it's really a family-friendly event. The picture that I show here is 3 generations of riders that participated in that last year. And we had about 130 last year, which was down from the previous year. And I think part of that was just the economic situation. Right, a lot of events were down last year, but also I think the promotion efforts, we're going to try to improve that this year to hopefully get that number up to around 300. A lot of the other events in Kansas that we are comparing against get around 800 to 900 riders, so we're hopeful for that. Part of what we're going to do is try to make it, instead of a one-day event, we're going to try to make it into more of a weekend event and have a party on Friday night to bring people to town ahead of the race and encourage them to stay in town so that the next morning we start very early. They can be in town for that. But you can see the number of riders from outside of Franklin County was pretty significant, 90% from outside of the county. So for this year, I am asking for tourism sponsorship for both of those events, and we've filled all the paperwork out for that. But just to highlight what we're planning to use that for, it's mostly for social media promotion, paid ads on Facebook and Instagram, but also we want to produce videos around that for the event. We think that's the best way to get the word out, and that requires some professional video support, as well as we'll advertise on KOFO and also some of the national bikepacking and gravel race promotion websites, so that when people that are looking for gravel races come out, they can see our events. and also the Kansas tourism sites, and also for some design work. So we'll hopefully get some help there from the county to help continue to promote Franklin County. Again, all of these events are to, I think the thing that people come away with on any of these events is that, wow, this is really incredible place to ride bikes. They're impressed with Ottawa. If it's their first time to come to Ottawa, they look around and they see what we have here. But when they ride on those roads, they really see it puts Franklin County on the map, really. And because of our proximity to Lawrence, Topeka, Wichita, Kansas City, of course, it's an easy thing to come out and ride for the day. And that's what we want people to do, is think about Ottawa year-round, come here, enjoy the town, enjoy the Franklin County roads, see all the beautiful sights that we have, and tell your friends to come. So that's really what we're trying to do. Any questions?
When is the Emporia race this year?
It is the last week of May 30th,
Just about-
I think, 29th.
Just about World Cup time.
Yeah.
They might have
The hotels are already full. I mean, you can't get a hotel. I haven't checked Ottawa, but I'm pretty sure most of the hotels here are full that weekend also. Maybe because of World Cup, but also the race does that, yeah.
Lots of great things happening.
Yes.
So your writer from Qatar, did he just happen to be here, or?
You know, that one I'm
Like,
not sure. I saw that, and I did
Like,
not get to meet
whoa.
that person, but yeah, I'm
a-
not sure if he lives here, but he's from Qatar or what, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
pretty
guess that's
interesting, yeah.
It's like the Hawaii guy where he made a trip to
Yeah.
come to Franklin County.
I can
to
tell
ride
you,
bikes.
on Unbound Week, we have a lot of people from Canada. We have a lot of people from Germany and other places, and they stop in our shop, and we try to help them out. Because we're on I-35 on our way to Emporia, and they fly in and they come down and they some of them stay here. A lot of them stop here. It's amazing.
My niece's husband from Mississippi
Yeah.
did the Unbound this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other
What
questions?
about your pack, bike and pack, the one out to Pomona? Have you been able to raise the capacity on that?
Yeah, I think, so last year in previous years, we kind of had an ad hoc group of volunteers. Last year, we really increased that, so we gave about 30 people just free tickets to participate if they would also volunteer. So, and it went smoothly. So I think that, being able to do that and really focus on the operational, it's a very logistical, challenging thing, because we carry people's gear out there. We have food trucks, we have all, and so I think we put enough volunteer in place so we can increase the capacity a little bit, yeah. Hopefully, we can get the word out and continue. A lot of people return every year, so it's just a matter of trying to get more people aware of it.
I'm glad you reached out to volunteers, because I think we encourage you where we're like, you got it.
Yeah,
Because there are
yeah,
people that will.
we're a very small shop. We have 3 employees.
Yeah.
And, even just managing the weekly rides is challenging enough. But these events, yeah, and we've got a great group of customers that help us and volunteers and just people that love the event that help us every year, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Moving on, do we have public comment?
Yeah.
All right. Consent agenda. So we have to consider and approve Franklin County Commission meeting minutes for January 21st, 2026. And then the tire bid to Comps Tire in the amount of $41,276.28. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second?
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre? Chair Metter?
Yes. All right, we're moving on to business. We're going to discuss and consider approval of extending and/or expanding Franklin County Resolution 23-21. Derek?
Yeah, thank you, Sabrina. As you guys are aware, Resolution 23-21 implemented a moratorium on commercial wind energy projects. I was asked by Commissioner Waymire to look into when that expired, and when we discovered that it expired at the end of this year, he asked me to put it on the agenda to consider extending that and also expanding it to potentially contemplate other types of projects. So, Colt, I will let you discuss this further if you'd like.
Sure. First, I asked for this to be placed on because the end of the moratorium is coming up. I think folks who were well aware of the original wind moratorium. I knew it was coming up, and I think we'd be wise to just go ahead and resolve the issue now and extend the moratorium. Now, preparing for the meeting, to look back on the conversation of all renewables, wind and solar, the concern, the legitimate, reasonable, valid concerns always boil down to how these projects could impact our rural quality of life, the natural beauty of the county, and the pursuit of agriculture in the county. And I think those are valid concerns too. So with that being said, given that those concerns aren't unique to wind, I think we should consider placing solar on the moratorium as well. That would give us a chance to go back to our comp plan and create a framework regulation that would potentially address those concerns ahead of time. And that's what I'm wanting to propose today. Have discussion with fellow commissioners and ultimately make a motion to do so.
Well, I didn't hear a time frame. Did you give a time frame? How long?
Like how long is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's the one in front of us for? And pull it up.
As well until the end of 2026, I believe, so.
I mean, it expires this year. I do that.
expires at the end of '26. Obviously, that is entirely within your discretion. I think that if you're wanting to do it and look at the comp plan, bearing in mind that this is a legislative decision that you guys can undo at any time, I think through the end of 2028 would be a reasonable time frame. That would tack a couple of years on to the existing wind moratorium.
You think we could get a comp plan done by then,
By the end of '28,
completed?
I believe that we could, yes.
Any issues with the adding that on today? Could we get that wrote up?
Are you at, sorry.
If we added solar, just to include all renewables, not,
Well,
do a resolution?
Obviously, it would need to be the will of the majority of the
I'm
commissioners.
just
But
saying.
if it's the will of the majority, then what you would want to do is a new resolution, and it would be Resolution 26-05, and it would be extending the existing moratorium on commercial wind projects and also adding a temporary moratorium on commercial solar projects through, in the rural areas of Franklin County through December 31st of 2028, if that is what you guys would like to do. And yes, I am sure that we could get that written up.
Anybody else
I think
want to
I know
chime
the answer. We're strictly talking commercial. It's not infinite.
Yes.
in? Yes, commercial. I mean, I agree with that. We're coming up on 6 years of when the county first went over this, and there's been changes, talking with other county commissioners and things that they've learned through their processes and maybe mistakes they've made. And I would like to have a discussion. We really need to talk about what is best, what should we do? You know, other counties, looking at their regulations, they have stuff in there that I think our county didn't even think to discuss during that time. And I just want to make sure, you know, we take the time and do what's best for our county.
I think it's really about the comprehensive plan. It's something that we've been talking about pretty much since I've been a commissioner, that we need to do. And it's just something that we really just need to do. And I think this is a great move just to get us started on that. So I would make the motion that we have a new resolution that extends on wind and incorporates solar until just the way you had said it. Yeah, or maybe
Till the end.
tell me how it should be.
Till the end of December.
Until the end of 2020, December 2020.
Does it need to be more?
Yeah, do you want to rescind your motion, Ian?
Yes, I will rescind my motion.
Okay. Yeah, a motion to this effect would need to be essentially, I make a motion to approve Franklin County Resolution 26-05, extending the existing moratorium on the planning, establishment, construction, application for, or permitting of any SUPs for commercial wind energy projects, as well as adding a temporary moratorium on the planning, establishment, construction, application for, or permitting of any SUPs on commercial solar projects in the rural areas of Franklin County through December 31st, 2028. If that's the will of the board, that would effectively need to be the motion.
I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire,
Yes.
Chair Metter.
Yes. Motion passes. All right, moving on. Franklin County EMS 2025 fourth quarter ambulance report, and consider the approval of the adjustments report fourth quarter 2025 and collections report. Christie.
Good morning. So I've got quite a bit of my staff here today because this reports some very good news. Just looking at the report itself, you can see our call volume for 2025 was very comparable to what it was in 2024. However, but when we're looking at the deposits for the fourth quarter, we were able to bring in $368,347.98. And that actually made us, for the year, in the black. So we brought in just a little over 1.2 million in revenue. And I do really want to highlight that this is a collaborative effort with everybody involved, from our street technicians doing fabulous documentation to our trainers, Louise and Jason, really training our employees on what proper documentation is. And then we've got a couple of gals that are just wonderful in billing. Abby does a great job entering reports diligently, and so does Sarah. But Sarah just really works her tail off working the insurance companies, because her philosophy is she'd much rather the insurance company pay for it than somebody have to pay for something out of pocket. So everybody's hard work just really highlights in this number, and I'm very thrilled to be able to report that to you. As far as adjustments, I do have those in the amount of $154,280.15, and then $11,612.25 was sent for collection. As far as what we actually did for the quarter, we finally had a correlation in which Friday was our busiest day in both the fourth quarter of 2024 and 2025. Runs by the hour look fairly consistent. You can see that by the county, of course, Franklin County is the biggest, is where we go the most. However, we did go into Anderson and Douglas and Osage counties to offer some mutual aid to those individuals. Our runs by zone and district, those are fairly comparable. The big decrease in Ottawa South has to do with just where we're staging for move-ups, because we still have to report that to the state and nationally where we're doing those. I do want to let you know that next year, we have a legacy naming scheme with our townships. So I have gotten those in line with the county, how we name them, how we call them. So you'll see that change just a little bit different to get rid of just our legacy naming. We've got our runs by response requests. The big thing that stands out here is you can see the very significant number and drop of standbys. Our unit dispositions, 86% of what we do results in us having contact with a patient. Our standbys, the overwhelming majority of those are to improve coverage. And then when we're looking at our patient care and evaluation, 84% of the people we came in contact with did say, yeah, I want you to treat me and transport me. runs by transport and disposition, you can see that roughly 9% of the patients did not need transport or didn't have anything that would require it. 20% did refuse it. We did transport 71% of those patients, and then we had one person that was transported by another EMS unit. That would just mean that we had a EMS unit come make contact with the patient, and for whatever reason, typically those are car accidents that have multiple victims, where then we handed off care to somebody else. Our average run mileage is comparable to what it was in 2024. And our runs by destination, this one was something that was getting so cluttered that it was getting very, very difficult to see. But I did provide those for 2025, scaled them down just a little bit. But overwhelmingly, we're using Advent Health Ottawa to take our patients to, followed by Advent Shawnee Mission, and then Olathe Medical Center. Average run times. This was something that we have worked on very diligently to make sure that our scene times are less than 20 minutes, and you can see that we achieved that goal for our fourth quarter in 2025. Our runs by service level, as I have stated before, this is just who's going to be the primary tech on the call, or the actual level of service that we provide. Prior to 2025, I wasn't able to get it any other way but through billing records, and typically basic life support emergencies don't really conduce with billing for an ambulance. However, we do have the ability that they can tech the call. So that's reflected in 2025. And then we do have our overlapping calls. So you can see that our status, or our move-ups were much lower, but then also status 0, we had less of that. And overall, for our system status, we only spent 0.25% of the third quarter with 3 or more ambulances out. And that is all that I have, but I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
I don't know but do you have any idea of your calls in Wellsville? If they're increasing, and if so, I don't know. If they're all together?
Looking at the numbers, in the 2024, in the fourth quarter, we had 110, and in 2025, we had 109.
Oh, well, okay.
So those are, right now, it's staying comparable, at least for the fourth quarter, comparing 2024 and 2025.
Any other questions for her? Anybody have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second?
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Chair Metter?
Yes. All right, moving on. Consider approval of the landfill expansion project modification package, and we will have
Yes,
Peg's
Peg,
fill in.
Peg, yes, you got the designated hitter today. Peg is unavailable. So this is a process that's been going on quite some time now. Started back with Dave, with SES Engineering, developing an expansion project at our transfer station. And today we have Susie McCart and Tyler Warren here from SES to kind of give you an update of where we are at and what we have going on. So if you guys would come up, thank you guys.
Good morning. Good morning. All right.
So we would really appreciate the opportunity to come and meet with you guys and give you an update. As Jeff said, my name is Susie McCart, and I've been the lead project manager on this project since the start. And this is Tyler Warren.
Yep, Tyler Warren,
project manager and also just assistant project engineer on this.
He does all the work, really.
Make sure he stays in budget.
Right, yes, yes. We're gonna just quickly go through introductions, which we just did. And then I'm gonna briefly go through the current landfill, how we got to this project. Tyler's gonna talk about the expansion design, which is now ready to submit to KDHE, and then what our next steps are and the budget, future considerations. And we'll try to go through it pretty quickly, but if you have any questions as we are going through, please, we'd like this to be a communicative presentation and discussion, so ask away. Just briefly, going back, SCS engineers first started working with Franklin County in 2004, and that was a project I was on. At that time, the state put into place regulations on C&D landfills, and so we helped the county with developing your first set of plans for your existing landfill at that time. Since then, we have continued to support Franklin County with doing stormwater plans for you, groundwater monitoring, surveying, volume calculations, all associated with the landfill, and those other items you can see up there. This is also lists our team of people that support you guys. So the current landfill is about 19.7 acres. It's shown on the page I'm looking at that is in red there. The majority of the landfill is over the closed MSW landfill, the municipal solid waste landfill that closed in the 90s. There's 3 cells and a stormwater pond. The facility itself also includes the transfer station and many of the other landfill supporting operations such as composting, brush pile, and other, what the word is, but other items that you guys accept at the landfill. This next page with the pretty colors, I just wanted to show that doing the volume calculations, we were able to show where waste was placed over the 2-year period between 2022 and 2024. That's currently where waste has been placed and the thickness of it. We are nearing you guys are nearing the maximum permitted airspace. And that's what these drawings, when we do the volume calculations, that's usually what we're showing is evaluating how much space is left and where, what room you have. The final grades for our current landfill were made back in 2004, 2005, and show that your maximum elevation would be 968.5 feet. Why we started this whole expansion project is best shown by the graph. From even before 2010 up through about 2016, you guys averaged receipt of about 4,500 tons of waste per year. And then in 2017, there was a big jump up to 10,000 and 11,000, and it's maintained that, slightly increasing. Currently, the average that you accept is around 12,000 tons per year. And with the existing footprint and the final grades that are permitted, you have about 4 to 6 years left before that's full, and you need to close it if we did not move forward.
How many?
4 to 6 years. So we've done an expansion design.
Yeah. So I'll try to hit the key points. I could probably go on and on about this, but I'll try to hit the key points from each slide. So on slide 10, you'll see the initial design. In previous discussions with the administration, Solid Waste Administration and Public Works Administration, the goal was to maximize that footprint on the existing facility. And part of that discussion led to the infrastructure being the maintenance shop, transfer station, and scale house. And the need for either repairs, a new facility, or relocating those facilities. So as you'll see, with the initial design, we would add approximately 33 acres, and that would include the entirety of the existing footprint, which would require relocation of those existing infrastructure. And then on slide 11, we move towards the current expansion design. So back in 2001, I believe, or 2002, the county elected to proceed with acquiring that north parcel. 22.
Yeah, it wasn't, yeah.
Going
That
back
is
to
true,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, 22. So with that, it gave the county the opportunity to expand the footprint, as well as give the county the much-needed soil that they need for their ongoing operations. With the expansion, or the current expansion design, you'd be looking at about an additional 58 acres or 25 additional acres from the previous design. And with that, relocation of the infrastructure would still need to occur.
When you say relocation of infrastructure, does that mean all of like the bullpen stuff or?
The buildings and stuff.
Okay.
Yep, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Transfer station, there's some additional monitoring wells that would need to be relocated or just abandoned in place. But those would be way at the end of their life by the
Yes.
time we get to
We're
those.
along.
Likely
Okay, okay,
beyond-
that's what I was just like, we just built. I didn't know.
Generation or two.
Okay, all right.
Put a new scale in.
Likely-
I know, that's what I was
We'll
thinking.
discuss the life
Sorry.
expectancy.
I
Nope,
was
you're
just
good.
like,
Great
oh, I
questions.
keep thinking.
I'll also add that on the monitoring wells, those are in place right now to monitor the closed MSW landfill. And you're coming up on 30 years of post-closure, which, per the regulations, you have to do 30 years of post-closure. You may be able to abandon those wells and not have groundwater monitoring anymore.
Okay.
Have to, that's up to the ADHE whether or not they extend the post-closure
Okay.
period. But certainly, by the time we're going into those areas, those wells may already be gone.
Okay.
So, with the, thank you. With the expansion, we're gaining a large capacity, which we'll discuss later on in the slides. And it's, setting up future generations with not having to worry about where C&D waste will have to go for the county and the residents. So on slide 12, it kind of outlines the cells or the units within the waste disposal boundary. The existing permitted waste boundary includes cells 1 through 3. And with the expansion, you would have cells 4 through 13, with the smallest cell being 4.1 acres and then the largest being 7.9 acres. And with the filling or placement of waste within each cell, the county would request authorization from the state to proceed filling in the next cell. How it's kind of phased here, the existing permitted, you'd continue to fill cells 1 through 3. If the expansion moves forward, cells 4, 5, and 6 would then be the next in line with filling operations, which would be over the existing waste mass. And then from there, we go on to 7 through 13. It was designed in a way that, the infrastructure, the scale house, the transfer station would be, towards the end of the life of the landfill rather than, in the middle of the filling operations. So with that, there's obviously stormwater concerns. There would be 3 stormwater ponds that would need to be constructed as operations progress. And then on this slide as well, we're showing the base grades. The existing 1 through 6 cells would be on the existing waste mass, C&D and MSW waste mass. And then no excavation would occur in those cells. And then cells 7 through 13 would be areas beyond the existing waste mass. So excavation would occur, all that soil would be utilized for operations. And the key point with the base grades is maintaining groundwater separation, which is per regulation 5 feet. So we've done our due diligence. There is groundwater separation of at least 5 feet. So those are the key points on that slide. Anything else? Okay. So on slide 13, we are showing the final grades, or the final top of waste grades, I should say. Excuse me. And this would basically be the final footprint that the county operations would construct to with waste and intermediate soils. With proposed grades, you'd gain about 77 feet of airspace. So kind of the key points there. On slide 14, which we get into infrastructure, I will hit on this, is basically once the waste mass has been constructed, this would be then the final cover system that would need to be installed. And with that comes the stormwater management. So the stormwater management system would consist of the landfill crown, which is about the 5% slope at the top of the landfill. And from there, stormwater will then sheet flow towards the terraces. And then the terraces would then direct the water into the letdown systems, which are lined with rock or riprap. And then the letdown features will then direct water into the drainage channel. From there, it continues on to the culverts, which then discharges into the stormwater ponds. I'd say some of the, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you might wanna just mention how we talked about terraces versus benches.
Yep. So there's two options basically with managing stormwater at the end of the life of the landfill. You can either construct, as you progress with operations, you can construct benches in the waste mass, which can be challenging, especially for inexperienced operators. I mean, you got to hit your grades with those benches, and it can be rather challenging. And discussions with the previous administration, the solid waste and public works, and then Jeff and Peg, we decided that it would be best that at the end of the life of the landfill, a contractor or the county, if they elect to, would then construct those terraces. Probably an easier process than, like I said, constructing benches. So that's the direction we went with. So as mentioned previously, there'll be 3 stormwater ponds. And then on slide 15, it kind of shows a little more detail zoomed in of each pond. The north pond would manage majority of the stormwater at the site. It is the largest of the 3 ponds. So you have that northeast and south pond as well. And then the pond detail, just to kind of hit the points on this. So you've got your pond, you've got a riser, an outlet pipe. These ponds are designed in a way that it allows sediment to settle out before stormwater discharges off the property. So that's kind of one of the key points on that detail. With that, with each pond, there's also emergency spillways. All stormwater infrastructure was designed based off a 25-year, 24-hour storm event per regulations. We go ahead and size the ponds to be able to handle, or the stormwater infrastructure, terraces, letdowns, et cetera, to be able to handle a 100-year, 24-hour storm event. So there's, with the pond specifically, there's enough capacity to handle those large storm events. In summary, so the county would gain about 58 acres with this, bringing the total to 78 acres for the waste disposal footprint. You gain about 7.2 million cubic yards of airspace, which equates to, based off your current waste densities, which is about 4 million tons of waste that could be accepted. This gives the county about 200 years or more of waste disposal of C&D material at the site.
What's our current density?
0.55, I think it's 0.55 tons per cubic yard.
It was-
Yeah.
A little over 1,000 then. So the compactor's helping, we're not.
And it has
Yeah.
fluctuated.
It had gone up to around 0.7 a few years ago, and then the last calculations we ran, it dropped a little bit, but between 0.5 and 0.7.
And, that's all dependent on, waste that's being brought in. A decision by the county, probably in 2002, was to purchase a waste compactor, which helped improve those waste densities, and we've seen that in our annual volume calculations.
Yeah, the density went up from about 0.3 all the way up to 0.7.
Yeah.
Just by the
Sure.
factor, and I think the training and stuff on the operator was the best ways to place the waste, push the waste, all that, so.
Any questions or any
Yeah,
more from
yeah.
you guys?
Any questions on the expansion design?
We did bring a set of full-size plans.
Okay.
Look through them, I think it's about 20 pages.
Yeah.
I think, just to kind of summarize everything, this started back, they had started, SCS has been with us for a long time. They had started the footprint on the existing property prior to Dave purchasing this additional ground. So, once we got to this point, we've invested over $250,000, I believe, at this point, in this expansion project. They have gotten, SCS, thanks to their hard work through this, they have got to the point where we are ready to proceed and present this to KDHE. The funding on it, at this point, I know there's been some money that David went back and acquired over the term of this, and I also know that we had received a reimbursement. And we'd still have a little bit of funding in there, don't we, Susie?
Yeah,
So-
we have about $27,000 left in the approved budget from the original approval and 2 add-ons. Yeah, there was a small discount. Found out that the county paid our drillers an invoice directly, but we also had charged you for that, so we credited you guys for all of that. Yeah, we're at the point right now where we're ready to submit the package. That's on slide 18 with those 2 red boxes. There's a number of documents that need to be signed by the county. We'll leave those with Jeff. And then just, if we can have scanned, we don't need original wet signatures on that to go with submittal to the KDHE. Once we submit that to them, they will review, give us comments. We really feel like there's not going to be a lot of comments back. They always do have comments, but we've met with the state a couple different, 2 or 3 different times and showed them, we met with them and showed them a whole set of plans that were probably, 85–90% complete at that point, and got their feedback at that time. So we feel like it's going to be a pretty smooth review and ultimate approval. There will be a public notice period, and then the landfill permit will be issued.
They only open one cell at a time,
Well,
once they get to the new permitted?
yes. Well, no, actually, you can have more than one cell open. You have 3 open right now. But you do have to request approval to open a new cell, and that approval consists of letting them know that the base grades are in line with the permit and that you want to open it. It's an email.
I was just thinking,
I
I mean,
will
looking
add-
at like cell 1, if we're potentially adding 76 foot onto it, it would,
Yes.
Yeah.
to be able to work it, and we would
And that,
need more.
yeah, and we'll kind of discuss a little more about that in the end of the slide with the capital expenditure discussion. But what I've now discovered with other clients is that the state, with any cell that is constructed, as in you're excavating down to base grades, they do now require a professional engineer to certify a report that will then be submitted to the state for approval to, or authorization to begin filling in that. And really what they're, wanting to make sure that, the groundwater separation is there, and that, you haven't excavated further below the permitted base grades. That's their main review point there. But with cells 1 through 6 being on existing waste mass, cells 1 through 3 already approved, so cells 4 through 6, it would be just as simple as requesting that authorization to begin filling in those cells, so.
And part of what the county will want to do in the future is, okay, we're working in these areas. We're going to try to go to these grades at this point. So you're not going to put 76.
That's what I was saying, so you can't come back to that cell and then add later? Okay, I was saying cell 1, for instance, is already steep on half of it. I didn't know there's a lot of room to get.
And being a county, every year you have to do cost estimates that you submit to the state as to what it would cost to close it if you guys belly upped and walked away and went to an island. But, so a private landfill owner would be a little bit more cautious about how many cells they have open and how many acres, because it's based on the acreage that you have open that would need to be closed. But as a county, where that's all in your funding and all of that, it's not as critical if you have 3 cells open, 4 cells open.
kind of a time frame do you think, if everything went as planned, what kind of a time frame when we would finally get our issued?
So the state tells us their goal is to have the permit reviewed through the entirety, public comment within 180 days. Now, do they hit that every time? Probably not. It may be quicker. Really, the public comment, I think, is where things can slow it down, but 180 days is their general review period and getting everything until they issue that permit.
Maybe end of summer, fall
Yep.
this year? Cool.
Yeah, there's a real detailed flow chart on slide 19 that came from the state website, but it kind of goes through all of their little process to go to, to do the review. We have some, we did bring printouts of that if anybody wants to get home and follow the arrows.
Yeah.
What's the notification radius? Do you know?
What was that?
The notification radius for their hearings?
You know, it's a good question. I'm not 100% certain on that. I know they do publish that information on their website and with the state, basically newspaper. I can't think of the exact term for it, but they'll publish it that. I assume they will publish in the or Ottawa or county paper as well. Beyond that, I'm not 100% certain.
Susie, before you transition into the financial side of this, basically what we're doing today is wanting to show you that the project is completed and that they are, we have a little discrepancy on the funding, and so we're basically looking for your approval to proceed, and then also to cover any shortfall that we may have. I believe it's up to $43,000 approximately, depending upon what it's going to take to get this done. So,
Yeah, and also we wanted you guys to know about the landfill expansion design so that when you sign these documents, you feel comfortable signing them because it says that the county approves of what we're submitting to the state. Moving on to the project budget and future considerations, as he mentioned, so the total budget that you guys have approved minus the discount is around $291,000. Through December 2025, we've invoiced you guys for $264,000, which is about 91%, and that leaves us about $27,000 left in the budget. I put a little timeline summary in there for you just to kind of see, we started out with only the former landfill facility, thought it would be a 2.5 year project. We're in year 5 right now, and what the extras are, that we've done along the way. When we made the original budget, we tried to be pretty flexible with giving us allowances because we knew there would be things that would come up that you wouldn't know about at that time. And so we've been able to do a lot of the extra work within the existing budget. So those are kind of highlighted with the heavier outline on where we did additional work. And there is you guys may have a copy, and if not, I did bring a memorandum that we provided with the county last week that kind of details all of the extra services that we performed. Slide 23 shows the remaining tasks. Project management meetings will go throughout the end of the project to support you guys. I'm going to skip to task 6 and 7 is basically we need to submit the plans and then address KDHE's comments when they come back. We have a new plat of survey that's been prepared. We wait to file that until KDHE approves the plans. So once they approve, give us the verbal approval of the plans, that will get filed with the Register of Deeds. You'll also have to update your restrictive covenant for the property, and then you will have your approval. So we're estimating on that one right now, it'd be about $5,000 to $10,000, kind of depending on the number of comments that come back. But CapEx planning that we're going to talk about in a minute, and the borrow soil evaluation. As those costs estimated, we feel like to perform all of those will probably be somewhere between $50,000 and $70,000. Right now, we have $27,000 left in the budget. At this point, we don't necessarily need approval of additional money. increase, but we wanted to let you know what may be coming up, and at some point, we may need to ask for more money, or unless you want to prove it now, so.
Well, that would be our hopes, is we could just get this to the finish line. And that's the number I was speaking with you, Derek, about that additional, up to 43,000. If the board was to approve that, that should get us through the finish line. There should be some money coming back, but that should get us completed on this entire project.
So, for the CapEx planning, in the memo that we provided has a pretty good detailed summary of what CapEx planning is about, but basically, we've discussed with the county previously when we put together our original proposal that we would assist you all with preparing a living document that gives you kind of a roadmap as to what capital expenses are going to come up as you proceed with this expansion. When do you open new cells? I don't think that the infrastructure relocation is something you'll be concerned about right away, but there are other things that will come into play. When's the right time to construct the ponds? There is that one stormwater pond right now that will need to be filled in as you expand to the north. And so just what types of activities that would cause or result in, capital expenditures, when to plan for them and how to plan for them. Other things that may go into the CapEx or need to be considered is, are your rates adequate? We've done rate studies for a lot of different landfills and, help them determine if it's time to increase or if you're good with that. Any operational changes, and then the borrow soil. I'll let you talk about borrow soil.
Yeah, so with ongoing operations, per state regulations, you guys have to fill or cover your active waste area every 120 days or every, I believe it's 2,000 tons of waste accepted. So based off current operations, it's about that 120-day mark. So you do have a soil need there. And previous discussions with the solid waste group, for Peg and Jeff, you guys were able to utilize off-site soils either from county operations or the street sweepings that are brought to the landfill from the city of Ottawa to cover your waste every 120 days. I don't know if that's sustainable in the future, especially with likely an increase in tonnage received at the facility, but there will be a need for, that intermediate cover. In addition to that, the final cover system is is it 2.5 feet? 2.5 feet thick, which includes a compacted clay layer and then a vegetation layer. So a bulk of the soil needs will come from that. Now that's way down the line, but it is something the county needs to consider to see if, do we have existing ground that we have enough soil to utilize for operations, or do you have to look elsewhere, whether acquiring additional ground or what other means, purchasing soil. That would be something we would evaluate in the borrow soil evaluation during the CapEx planning.
Yeah, and using that task as well. We have specific tasks about borrow soil, so we can do calculations on how much is available on the north property and how much you guys would need. So we'll do those comparisons.
And I will add one more thing to your point earlier about, reaching that 77-foot waste mass. With the CapEx, we can develop a phasing plan, so to say, where it shows you, okay, you filled 1 through 3. We can show you what that next waste mass would be for cells 1 through 6, and then so on and so forth. We'd give you a roadmap, so to say, of how your operations can fill, as they progress into each cell.
For instance, with cell 4 there on the corner's done, you would cap it with the impermeable layer, then
Yeah, you have to do the final.
Yep.
you wouldn't do it all at once. I mean,
You could, yeah, you could do, intermediate, as you progress, construct that final cover system, which would then start the post-closure of that area, rather than waiting, till year 200 out of the life. You at least can start that 30-year period and get out of post-closure with, financial
we're up so far. Yes, it does. Any other questions? I will say the drawing set is also accompanied by 2 volumes of plans, reports. We did not bring those. Those would definitely put you to sleep. We've updated the operations plan, CQA plan, storm closure plan, and then an engineering report that explains the design. So those, we will provide Jeff with
I'll make those
a
accessible.
copy of those. Good looking.
Make those accessible to you, so.
I know I was here when, '04,
Oh, yeah.
and I talked them into buying that on the south side, the 40 acres come up. In fact, they didn't buy it the first time around. I was outvoted, we don't need it. You know, and then 2 or 3 years later, all of a sudden, we needed it. Had to pay a little more, but it was the best thing we ever did. And then with them coming to us with this last purchase on the other side, I think, you know, most people don't think about looking down the road 200 years. I know, if they've been back in '04 and been in the position we was with no land on either side, it wasn't a very bright future for our landfill. So, and then plus that, instead of the trash getting over on the neighbors, it got on to us. Helped a little bit, I mean, you try, it didn't commend it to be that way, but it did help some. I mean, or give us we was able to go over to get stuff off of the neighbors, because we were the neighbors, to get it off.
Is there any other counties in the state that are having much expansion capability as Franklin County after this project is over?
From what I will say that we are starting to see a lot of other municipalities want to look at expansion with the ever-changing, federal government and regulations there, which then trickle down to the state. A lot of the municipalities are looking at expansions to get it permitted now. That way, the county's not having to worry about it down the road when regulations may be more strict. But to the point of, life, it varies per site. I would say the foresight of, your commissioners and staff of, okay, we will need this property down the road for, whether it's for other operations or landfill specific, I think is setting up not just, back in '04, you would be setting yourself up for current operations, and then, even 200 years down the road, you guys are looking to the future and giving my generation, the next generation, the opportunity to continue filling here and not have to look at, what are we going to do with our waste down the road. So,
Well, I know they told us back then, '04, we had 50 years left. Now look, we're out
yeah.
20 years.
Yeah, so,
Who could calculate that the numbers would go drastically high as they went?
So we need a motion on this.
I'm not sure that the discussion's done.
I just have one quick. So, obviously, where the waste is, that's permitted and regulated. The ancillary structures like the machine shop, the scale house, things like that, are those, so I guess as those reach the end of their life, we're headed towards that direction. Is there any kind of regulatory hurdles we need to jump to move those? And we're not on this footprint.
I don't believe so.
Like we put the machine shop across the road, just for
Yes.
instance, or.
I had that same thought.
There will be, required permitting if, you find a new location for the transfer station down the road. That will need to go through a permitting process with the state.
But it doesn't negate anything you've done here today, because this is all C and D related. Okay. Yep, I would make a motion to approve the landfill expansion project, modification package for submission to KDHE, and the additional cost not to exceed $43,000.
Second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes,
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Metter?
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you both for being here.
Yes.
You've been very helpful to us throughout this process, and I'm not sure where we'd be, so thanks for being here this morning. This is a presentation that's been super helpful.
I will add, it's been a great partnership with,
Yes.
the previous solid waste group and administrator and current administration, so.
Well, thank you.
Jeff.
Yes. All right, we will move on to the 2026 Annual Noxious Weed Annual Control Plan and Management Plan and Eradication.
Give us just a second,
All right,
Sabrina.
sorry.
Jeff's pinch hitting today.
Yes.
Let me get started with these guys. Could you explain it? Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Who's the guy?
Noxious weeds.
Yes, noxious weed. Again, I'm pinch hitting here. Peg has been working diligently on getting some reports done for us. The 2025 annual eradication progress report has been done. It needs a signature today, as well as our 2026 annual control plan and our manual management plan for 2026. So I'm just looking for your signatures on this. I know Peg has done the work on it. I really don't want to get too far down in the weeds today without her, but she can describe, it's an annual report that we do every year.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, so I just need your signatures on that as well today.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the noxious weed 2026 annual control plan, the annual management plan, and the 2025 eradication progress report. I appreciate all the work that Peg does on all of that.
Second.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Chair Metter?
Yes. All right, next, solicitation of bids for the chip seal project. for 2026.
Yes. This is, let me grab the right one. Yes, chip seal and painted pavements. I want to thank the commission and Derek for spending some time with me this year. We've made some changes in the way we go about our chip seal, and I know we've spent some time with all of you in the field. This is a result of the roadways that we selected with the help of Justin and Rusty to get to this point. So we're basically looking for, it's a reduction in what we typically do, but right around 35 miles, I have it in front of me, for the chip seal. I do know that Colt and I had discussed, and I believe with Rod as well, and in our meetings, the possibility of doing a slurry coat, a seal coat. I did have one specific bid from somebody, but they didn't bid the road that I requested them to, but it gave me some numbers. This is something that we could utilize in a few of the roads that we have. So if you approve this today, that would cover everything on the chip seal that we need to. But if we wanted to look at it later after the snow events, after the freeze thaw, and we wanted to reduce a little bit of that, we could possibly do a slurry. It would probably be beneficial to wait a year to do that, but this is just covering everything that we want to do on chip seal this coming year, if that makes sense.
And to be clear, and we've discussed this at prior meetings, but what is in front of you is part of what I will call a pivot away from just doing quadrants of the county at a time and looking at specific roads. The whole purpose of our study session where we went out and toured was to see the roads that actually need the most work. So by doing less chip seal, we are going to be able to do asphalt work on roads that actually need it. And we've crack sealed roads before, and that helps extend the life of the chip seal. So this is all part of what I would call a more deliberate, more thoughtful approach to our road maintenance plan. So happy to answer any questions about this. Jeff and I and Justin, Rusty, we've got a lot of time into this, so by all means.
No, I would like to see how, changing it up and seeing how it works, and you kind of got to try before you know, so.
What are we gonna do Shawnee Road? You mentioned alligator and stuff.
Johnny is part of the chip seal.
I know, and are we gonna do any leveling?
There was no leveling course included in it, but because we haven't gone so far, that is something that we could do prior to the chip seal if so desired.
Because that was
if we
a
had the
question I
funds.
was asked by someone.
Yes, it could be something that we utilize, and that we have some locations that Justin and I have already picked out. I don't recall off the top of my head if Shawnee is specifically on it, but there are some locations out down by the railroad tracks
Yeah.
that have some base failures.
Yeah.
Those will be addressed in-house prior to the chip
Okay.
seal. We do that every year.
Okay.
That's something that Justin,
That was a question I was asked.
yeah. So there are several locations, but that reduction, and like Derek said, in chip seal will help us a lot on making the difference on the asphalt underneath or seal coating or crack sealing.
All right. Is there a motion for the solicitation of bids?
I'll move that we have a solicitation of bids for the Franklin County 2026 chip seal project.
Second.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Petter?
Yes. All right. Consider approving the solicitation of bids for painted pavement
It's
marking.
basically the exact same locations. There is one subdivision that we do not put paint on, and there's also Labette Terrace that is basically a mile that doesn't rise to the level of our standard to be painted. So it's the same thing, just a few miles short for solicitation.
Motion to approve the solicitation of painted pavement marking.
Second.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre? Commissioner Waymire? Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Chair Petter?
Yes. All right. Moving on to staff reports.
Yeah, thank you, Sabrina. First and foremost, I want to thank our public works staff, both the management staff and the staff working underneath them. This was an incredibly busy weekend for them. We had folks out, and I hope Jeff will get into detail on exactly how they battled the weather this weekend. But we went from a storm where we were working all weekend long right into what is one of the single biggest public works items each year, which is the chip seal. And for reasons that I just explained, this was more complex than previous years. So Jeff and Justin McCurdy and Rusty, they've been burning the candle at both ends for days now, allocating staff for the storm, being out in the storm themselves, working with me on putting all of this together. So want to commend them. Very, very happy with the work they put in and with where we're at in that department. Also have a couple of things I want to bring back up here. I don't know if it was just last week, forgive me. We talked about our highway signs, and I don't recall there being a lot of opinion on that. We did get the proposed contract changed to a one-year contract, which I can approve because it doesn't go over my spending allowance. Do you have any strong, I wanted to give you one more opportunity on that, if you have strong opinions, or I would be happy to just approve the one-year
You
agreement.
said highway signs, you're talking billboards.
Billboards, I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
That's-
Yes,
that-
thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
You talked about, not saying you need to, you talked about doing something different on them.
Yes.
I say, well, my initial thought is renew for the year. That gives us time to figure out, like, if we want a different,
A new design.
a new design, then it
Yeah.
gives us time.
And I think that,
Want to keep doing it.
That sounds good.
that
Well,
would make
this one up there at 12 is okay, but it's really starting to fade.
Well, that's what I noticed. It was fading, so I thought, I don't, so yeah.
Yeah.
Any other
Okay.
thoughts?
That sounds good.
Take care of it.
Yeah, we'll do a year. If
Okay.
nobody else is.
Okay.
go
Well, no,
for that.
so I'll go ahead and authorize the one-year extension. In the meantime, and I think this would be a great project for Joanna, I'll just start talking to her about potential redesign ideas. That will all flow through the five of you, of course, but she can at least get going on it, so. The other thing, and I don't believe I've brought this up in this forum, and to be clear, I still need to talk to county staff to make sure that we don't need the space, but the Elizabeth Layton Center has inquired about the conference room right here and renting that from us. If I talk to our team and, because I know we have stuff over there, but if we can find other space for it and can't articulate a need for it, would the five of you be okay with me drafting up a lease amendment, leasing them that space? It would be at the same rate that we're giving them for their current space.
Absolutely. I think it'd be great.
You know, sitting empty, I
We still have the office behind there, don't we?
Yes, and I don't believe, and that may be what we need more than the conference room. So I think we can get this done. I want to talk to my team, but if they're okay with it, I would draft a proposed lease, bring it in front of you for your consideration.
Yep.
Okay, that's all I have. Thanks.
All right. Paul?
Good morning. You've probably heard, but just wanted to express appreciation to Sharice Davids. We got a $610,000 grant through the Appropriations Committee for Princeton, which has been a long time coming. Yeah. We'll wait to hear from the feds on that and start working accordingly. The Safe Roads Grant, we've had one introductory 20-minute Zoom meeting with the feds on that, just to kind of start to get orientated, and then Wade, the next step is to wait for a point of contact from the feds to reach out to me, and then we'll start working through how they operate and how we need to operate. I think the other piece that's important for the public to know is that there's a ton of time spent on these. In fact, Janet and I have a meeting that starts in about 5 minutes. So Janet, I'll cover for you. But just in Zoom meetings with Whit O'Brien, getting ready to have conversations with the Fed, I'll probably spend 15 hours on Zoom just working through stuff. And so there's a lot of work. We're still going to try to get a grant for administrative cost. It's very competitive, so we're trying to get the information we need ASAP, and then I can submit that probably, hopefully next week. And then that would help cover some of the administrative cost. This is a behemoth of an administrative project, and so hopefully we can figure that out. But just very excited with the grants at Princeton, and then with the Safe Roads, that's over $1.4 million in federal money coming into the state. And so that's good for all of us, and it's good for our taxpayers that we're getting some of our federal taxes back into our community. So a lot of great people, a lot of great work from the cities, from Wellsville and from Princeton, and great work from Jeff and Dustin. Great support from Derek, and Janet's been a great partner. So just, it's really been a team effort, so I'm very excited about it. So just wanted to give you an update.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. I got to run.
Yes. Thanks for hanging around. All right. Dustin, usually done. Jeff?
Just real quick, Derek, thanks for the kind words for the staff. They did an outstanding job. They always do, but this was especially challenging in that it was more snow in an event that kind of spanned over a longer period of time, which makes it real difficult on our secondary roads for our blade operators, but they did a great job. The equipment that we have, the new trucks that you purchased for us, with the temperatures as cold as they were, we had some minor issues, hydraulic, electrical stuff, but nothing that restricted any of the trucks to be in the shop. So everything went off without a click. Really do appreciate not only the staff that were out there working in those rotations, but also the people that were at the recycling center taking care of their own stuff when we were out. I saw Vicki and Marcella down there working. Same thing out at the transfer station. They took care of their own roads. It really worked as a whole team, so I couldn't be happier with the way it went, and thank you for that. I want to thank Susie and Tyler both for all the work that they've done on this. It's been a big project, and couldn't have done it without them. And Peg, she's helped a lot in getting all this stuff lined out for us. So thank you. And I think that's all that I have. I really want to, Rob Olson is somebody who really took care of a lot of extra things this storm event. I want to give him a shout out and thank him for running around taking care of a lot of little problems that we needed, because that's part of that team effort. So I really appreciate what Rob did.
As I watched the news over the weekend and around the country, the snow shuttles that they had and the ice that people had, and I kept saying, we got incredibly lucky on this one, that we didn't get what we could have, so thank goodness for that.
Janet, anything from you? All right. Commissioners, anything?
did go to my first hospital board meeting the other night, and it's probably one of the biggest ones of the year, because they voted on the budget for next year, all the expenditures they plan on doing. And one of them, the big expenditures, you guys ever notice the canopy out front over there going in? Pretty bad. They're gonna replace that, completely replace that with a local contractor doing it, funneling the money through them. And so, and then there were several comments from board members that they shifted a little bit of the budget, different than what it was laid out to them. They wanted to see more of it go towards those kinds of projects, improvements to the building and so forth, you know. Just, you know, I appreciate a couple of comments. Some of them, I didn't get into the conversation, new kid on the block. I did, I sit there and listen. You know, that's how you get into that. And they were very nice. I mean, coming and being there, even though I don't get the vote, they still want your opinion. You know, they ask for your opinion on things, you know. And eventually I'll do that, but get more into doing it. But it went very well. And Mr. Johnson, an hour before they had the meeting, invited me over there, and he went through a whole PowerPoint presentation on the hospital and how charges are done, in the charitable part of it. And it was nice of him to do that, to give me a whole hour's long private, you know, scenario about the hospital and what they're doing and what's going on. And it allowed me to ask questions right there, just between the two of us. So it went really well. That's all I got.
And to be clear, Don, Mr. Johnson is the Advent Health Ottawa CEO.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Anything with you, Cole? All right. I went to ORC's ribbon cutting for their new updated weight area and all the stuff they're going to be doing, so no excuse to not work out, even though I still probably won't. And anything with you, Ian?
I had nothing this week. I'm heading to Topeka right now. I have a meeting that starts in 3 minutes, and I will Zoom on. And then, anyway, and then this afternoon will be local government day with the county officials and then city and so anyway, that's today. So that's where I'm headed.
All right,
Motion adjourned.
All right. Second. I don't know if I can second it.
You bet. She did.